and welcome to the Great American Gas Post Show. I am Ol'Ed, and I am joined by the one and only, the natural Astrid Bizarro. Astrid, what'd you think, Great American Bash?
Better than I thought it was gonna be, actually. I'm not saying that I was thinking it was gonna be bad, but it exceeded my expectations, to put it like that. What did you
Yeah,
think?
yeah, I was gonna say I was highly impressed by a multitude. Use a big word
Hmm.
tonight. Multitude of people on this card, whether it be Blair Davenport, really uh, impressed me tonight. Um, who else? Tiffany Stratton, Thea Hale, both really impressed me tonight.
Who? Say that
Gable
again?
Houston really impressed me tonight. And then, of course, the main event was the main event, and that thing was as great as it needed to be. But thank you all for joining us. We're here to talk about the event that was the Great American Bash that we all just watched, and hopefully you did too. Let's just go ahead and just get right into it. I mean, it was a it was a great bunch of matches back and forth. We saw it in the pre-show. We have Metaphor versus two lads and two lasses, Dragon Lee and Dragon Lee and Nathan Frazer, and Yulisa Leone and Valentina Feroz. That Duolingo is helping out. Don't you worry, I got you.
Yeah.
24-day streak with that Duolingo. I got you. This was an all right match. It didn't do anything fantastic, but it didn't disappoint in any way, shape, or form either. It was nice to see. Oh, it's always nice to see Mark Talks and Plays joining us on the Twitch chat. Hello, Mark. I know what you thought of the show. I've been watching you in the Call of Unity all night. But no, keep going ahead and throwing in your comments for the rest of the people who might not have. No, I really like this. It was a nice back and forth match, a little bit of chaos here, there, and everywhere, as there always is with a mixed tag, especially when it's an 8-person mixed tag. What did you think of this match, Astrid?
Yeah, what I really loved about this was the girls. I feel like Yulisa and Valentina really showed out in this match more than I thought they would. So I really like how they incorporated the double team moves. I know at the beginning it was a little bit of like miscommunication because I believe it was Valentina had tagged in Julissa, and Julissa was not didn't go for the pin, but Valentina did, and Julissa's like, "No, it's me," and she kind of moved her other way where she pins. And but yeah, they really did with the dives and the double team moves they had, and even I like Julissa going and using Nathan to help her all get catapulted outside for the dive. Just little things like that that really helped out. I feel like we didn't get a lot from the ladies on the other side. I feel like every time that happened, they were taken down already by the other ones. So that's why it gave me the feeling, oh, this team is gonna win. Like I feel like even though Metaphor has been the team a little bit longer than this team, I feel like this team it looked like they meshed really well in such a short period of time. And I really like how they showed up today. And just like this is like where to start this. I was like, can we keep going from this already?
Yeah, it was a fun little match. It did everything it needed to do. I'm surprised that the Metaphor lost this match. I would have thought this would have been a
Mm-hmm.
time to get a win for Noam Dar to put him forward. But if anybody else is going to get the win other than Noam Dar getting this win, I'm so glad finally to see Dragon Lee getting a nice thing. Because I was watching this, I was like, oh, Metaphor needs to win this to continue the story and really do what they want to do with it. So if Metaphor wins, then that means Dragon Lee eats another loss. And Dragon Lee really shouldn't be eating a whole lot more losses because this guy
Mm-hmm.
needs to feel like a big deal. And it finally, he got it. He got the big win tonight. Later on in the night, he's backstage with Dominic Mysterio, and he's talking about Dom and him go back and forth where he says, "Oh, you're bringing down the Mysterio name." And Dominic's like, "No, I'm bringing up the Mysterio name." And he basically just says he's a nothing. Oh, this is one of those guys that my dad always treats better than me because they look like him. And I was like, oh boy,
Damn.
okay, we went there. By the way, Dominic is really white for a Hispanic dude, isn't he?
Yep.
I never noticed it until I saw him sitting there with Dragon Lee and he said it. I'm like, Angie's not white, and Ray's not white,
Nope.
and Dom's really white.
Nope.
Not white like me and white like Seamus. Like he's not that white, but he's on the white scale more than he is the tan scale, like an Astrid or a
Mm-hmm.
Dragon Lee or even a Rey Mysterio. But no, this was a nice little program. I'm excited to see this match Now, I don't believe it was in the list of matches confirmed for Tuesday, but
I didn't
it's like
see
we're
it.
in a segment, so we're probably going to, or as Chris Perez says, and Eddie. Yeah, but see, Eddie was still on the Latino side of like,
Yeah.
again, he's not Ray like dark, but Eddie still was more on the Latino dark side than Dominic is. Dom's pretty white even for a Latino. Like Ashton, you can speak to this. You are
Yeah,
Latino.
he looks more Mexican American to me than just like completely full blooded Mexican, if you put it like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and by the way, he is Mexican American. Let's not remember that.
Hmm.
But like I said, like Angie's not like fresh from the United States, like born and bred American. Like she's not. She's a parish. Maybe he was always Vince's son of that bastard Hornswoggle. Maybe that would make more sense. I don't know. But this was a great little backstage segment later on in the night after we had the big win for Metaphor. Then we go ahead. And Corey talking to Chris Perez saying that he absolutely loved this morning. I believe the boys rated Corey after busting out today, if I remember correctly. So always fun to rate our friends. And Corey's in here talking about the good times we have in the Call of Unity. And if anybody of you guys haven't found that, find your way over to the Tom Collahue YouTube channel, and you can go ahead and find the Discord link to the Call of Unity. It's a wonderful place to go ahead and talk about wrestling in a Discord sense. We get to the main event. No, we didn't get to the main event just yet. There's a lot more before the main event. We get to the main card, and we were surprised because we all thought, HBC Bad Guys comes in, the triple threat stole that show. And the triple threat was great, and I thought they were going to be the opening match of the main card. But NXT surprised us last night saying, no, we're opening with a tag team match. And I'm like, all right. This means that result's pretty standard clear that we're getting new champions right off the bat. But it was a good match. It didn't take a lot of time. It didn't do a lot. But Tony got some time in there. They really told the story of Stax and the D'Angelo family and how irritated Gallus is with Stax and how they wanted to punish him more than anybody. Gallus's evil tricks didn't work this time, unfortunately, and pour one out for Gallus as they are no longer our NXT Tag Team Champions. But forever in our hearts, Gallus boys on top. They had it on their gear, GTOB. So, or GBOT. I don't know. Acronyms, they're hard. Ash, what did you think about this tag team title match here?
What I loved the most about it was that really like that storytelling, because they made Tony's tag really important in this match, because we had Stax for most of the match in there. He tried going back in there and he couldn't, so he was getting like ragdolled by the Gallus boys. But then when we get that Tony tag, it ends up being like really like a hot tag. And I like how even trying with the distraction with the referee, and it just didn't work for them either. And at that moment, just when I think, oh, it's over, all of a sudden we get Tony from out of nowhere breaking up the pin as it was going to. And it's like, I really like the fact that we get Stax working, towards Tony, but still doesn't get there for quite a while of most of the match. But when Tony gets in there, he finishes the story. He finishes the job there for both of them. So I really love this too. I love having them as new tag team champions. Like I feel like it'll make it interesting now moving forward with the tag division.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of Gallus trying to do the Gallus things where they try to do the interference and it doesn't work, and then they get it to work even if Plan A didn't work, but Plan B works out, and they almost get that. And like you said, Tony gets in there at the very last second to break up the pin, and then Joe Coffey tries to do what he did at Stand and Deliver, but this time they have it scouted, and Tony D'Angelo hits him with the crowbar. So Joe Coffey's out of the equation, and then from there it's just bada bing, bada boom. 1, 2, 3 for the D'Angelo family, the new NXT Tag Team Champions. It couldn't happen to a better, nicer guys. As Chris Perez says, maybe we need to send more of these guys to jail. We need a before and after photo of Tony G and Dom in jail, and then another with their titles. Only aboard again like Christian, like HBK, can understand what a second chance can do for people. By the way, if you haven't seen it yet, there's a great clip of Dominic Mysterio walking straight past Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels just being like, your daddy should have spanked you. Oh, I love HBK. He's great. But we move on. to our second match of the night. It's Weapons Wild. It's Roxanne Perez versus Blair Davenport. Astrid, as always, it's Roxanne Perez, but not only that, it's a great women's match. Go ahead and tell us all about this.
This is definitely one of those matches that I feel like it was better than I thought it was going to be, because I thought it was going to end up starting kind of silly in a way because we didn't know what the weapons were going to be involved. I feel like they used them very well. They used a little bit of everything. We used from the trash can to a cowbell to the table here. So, there was variety in here, which I loved. I just loved not only that, but what I mentioned in the previous show when we did it with Steve is that aggressiveness we got from Roxanne tonight is exactly what needed to happen. And I like how at first we do have her like struggling with Blair, and every time she does not have something, Blair counters it. So we always have that back and forth, and like Roxanne doesn't get to go all the way. And then when she does go, you can see that attitude coming in, and the decisions she starts making are different when that clicks in her head, and you see her being more aggressive, like the way she just need Blair to the steel steps when she shut up the table and the crowd going wild for it. And to end the match with the table there as well before going there and doing pop rocks on the chairs to Blair. I like from beginning to end. I love this. I love how they went all around the ring. They used so many weapons that they had available for them here, and it was better than I thought it was going to be. And this is one of those matches that I love, that it could go either way for me, and I feel like either way it could have made something different for the women's division. But very glad that Roxanne ended up winning here. Another point for me.
My thing with this match, and one of my favorite things about this, is the heel work of Blair Davenport in this match. Blair Davenport owned the first half of this match. Mm-hmm. And not only did she own it, you knew she owned it, and she did exactly what she needed to do. She slowed it down. She took her time to get everything in place exactly where she wanted it. Using the cattle brand on with the trash can on top of Roxanne Perez, and just beating the trash can with the iron cattle prod. I mean, that takes balls to stay inside that itty bitty metal trash can with an iron cattle prod being swung pretty well by Blair Davenport. The heel work in front of Roxanne's family was just fantastic. It wasn't quite Sasha levels, but it was just enough. You see that little girl almost in tears, and she's not clinging to her mom like what was her name? Izzy did at the end of the Iron Woman match, but it brought those same vibes back. Blair was in her face. She was doing the, oh, boo-hoo, cry, cry. But all the time she was focused on Roxanne. She never lost her focus to do the heel work. The heel work made sense in terms of the steps that she was taking. The fire from Roxanne was incredible. It was really, really good to see Roxanne have this other side. I would have preferred Roxanne lose, to be honest. In the storyline, I think it would have made more sense to have Roxanne lose. I like the idea that Roxanne wins, but I think it hurts Blair a bit. Like I said in the preview show, I think it would have done a really big statement for Blair if she wins here and continues marching through this women's division towards Tiffany Stratton. If not at No Mercy, then the next step. Where at that point, Tiffany's had a long enough, short reign, but a long enough reign that you can give the title to a woman like Blair Davenport when you have a Nikita Lyons coming back, when you have Astrid coming back, what's her name? Wendy Chu. When you have Sol Ruka eventually coming back, and having all of these girls kind of come back staggered so that it's like Blair wins the title. She holds the title up. Boom, Nikita's music hits. And boom, there's your first feud. And you've got a month or two of that. And then if she, in theory, even as much as I love Nikita, you beat Nikita because she's not quite ready for that step. And then as soon as Nikita gets put down, boom, Wendy Chu's music hits. And out comes Wendy Chu. And you repeat the pattern again. It seems simple, but some of those are really good. And you've built enough competitors that she's taken out that you can build a 6 to 8 month reign heading into Stand and Deliver WrestleMania weekend in Philly, where you can have Sol Ruca, ironically, defeat Blair Davenport in her return. In my mind, that's what I would do, is have Sol Ruca return and win. Because I think she was getting close to heading towards a championship match before she got hurt. She had the momentum of the crowd. But the loss doesn't hurt Blair Davenport that much. It's not that big a deal. But in my mind, in my own fantasy booking, it makes sense for Blair to win. But we've got plenty of time before No Mercy. And honestly, Tiffany shouldn't even be losing at No Mercy. She should be losing further down the road. But Blair Davenport, as good as Roxanne was in this match, her selling was fantastic. Blair Davenport was on another level here. She really was showing why she is the top gaijin, as they call her, top outsider in Japan. It just shows how good she is. We got some comments to come in here. Astrid, I need you to translate for me.
I was going to say, you're practicing your Duolingo. Go.
No. I know how to say it. I just don't know what it means.
Well, I don't. Well, say it though, and then I don't know.
Ese madre estaba tan feliz.
I guess they're being sarcastic. It's like the mom was really being happy for some reason.
She was really happy at the end of the match. She was very, very happy at the end of the match. We had Dar Amazing saying hello. Great match, but the wrong person won. I get that Roxanne's new attitude needed something, but Blair needed. I don't think it doesn't hurt Blair. She doesn't need the win more. I feel like it could have done more for Blair. I don't think there's much more that you tell with Roxanne. And Ash, maybe I'm wrong. Do you see something that I don't see, that you do more with Roxanne before? Because I think she's called up. I don't think she stays, which is another reason why I would have beaten her.
No, I think the only thing, because I'm like, at this point, I was like, if they put her against Tiffany and then Tiffany does win, that's the only thing that I could think of. But at the same time, at this point, I wouldn't put her anywhere but calling her up, because there's nothing else for her to do in that aspect. If you think about her career in NXT, the idea I can think of is like her wanting that title, because she said it in her promo last time. This like aggression, this rage inside of me started building since I lost the NXT Women's Championship, and she never regained it. So I was just thinking like maybe she'll want to regain, especially after winning this match. But that's the only thing I could think of in that aspect. But from my mind, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. We got Barry Monkey joining us very late at night over in the UK, as well as Mark. We got Mark saying, Ed acknowledged that Gallus are not on top, only on the bottom. I did not acknowledge they were on the bottom. My anacronym may have, but I did not. And we got Perez saying, part of me would like to see Piper Niven return to NXT. That'd be great. I'd love to see Piper Niven come back. Piper Niven is a fantastic competitor. I think she could teach Nikita Lyons a lot, being a bigger girl in this industry and being able to have fantastic matches with the likes of Bea Priestley. If you haven't seen their work together and against each other in places like Progress, in places like WCPW, check them out. There are some fantastic matches. I believe they have a wild weapons match in ICW, if I remember correctly, between the two of them when it was Viper versus Bea Priestley. There is some fantastic stuff with Piper Niven over in the UK. Definitely check out her stuff from over there. It is fantastic. After this, I believe, is the video package with recapping Lyra Valkyria versus Rhea Ripley, where we then get the Lyra Valkyria promo segment, which turns into the attack from JC Jane, which the referees try to get in the way, and then Mommy comes walking by and she goes, "That's what I wanted," and walks away with Dominic. Actually, I think this is after the next match, but it's fine. We'll put it here. It doesn't much matter. It's just setting up a match for Tuesday, which we all saw coming a mile away. We get Gable Stevenson making his NXT debut versus Baron Corbin. I'll be honest, Gable Stevenson impressed the hell out of me in this match. His timing was good. Wasn't great, but it was good. He knew. Now, I will admit, I think this match was practiced to perfection over the last week at the PC. I think these two guys must have had this match a good 4 or 5 to 6 times at the PC before they got this match on camera tonight. Because there were moments where Gable knew his leg needed to be in the air so that Corbin could hook the leg. I caught that a couple times. That being said, Corbin's new package looks great. I'm not a huge fan of the shirt he wears for his entrance. I could do without it. But when he takes it off to get into the ring gear itself, that's fantastic. The new music, it's good. It's not great.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not
growing on me.
I bring the darkness, but it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Astrid, go ahead and talk to us a little bit about Baron Corbin in this match.
Definitely not what I wanted from him for tonight, but still, it wasn't bad in itself. I feel like they had a good back and forth, and he did give Gable
Yes,
that sort of
he did,
match.
Parrish.
He gave him, I feel like, a good and like his first good match, like a good way to introduce him to us as an audience here, because like we had never seen Gable wrestle, so I feel like they did a really good job with it being the first match. Like you said, whether they rehearsed it or not, it was really well done and structured. Yeah, I feel like they had a good back and forth. Towards the end though, when they miss on that count out though, and the referee just counts them out, nobody wins. I just thought I should have thought about this when the predictions happened because it's Gable's first match. They're not going to want him to lose, but again, it's Baron's first match since all these changes with him. So they're not going to want him to lose either. So it's like, I should have thought this was going to happen. But either way, good showing for both of them.
The crowd didn't like the finish, and I kind of understand it. But you know what?
Mm-hmm.
It was a 6-match card. It didn't take long, but it gave us just enough of Gable Stevenson to be excited to see what happens going forward. Baron Corbin, it showed us what the new repackaged Baron Corbin is going to look like, what the music's going to sound like. I'm all in. The Baron Corbin stuff is really good. It was a home run for me. I didn't hate the count out finish. We haven't had one in NXT like that in a big match on a main card in a while. So having a count out finish in a match that got thrown together in the week of the show it's not like they did a count out finish in Ilja versus Mello or Tiffany versus like Thea. Like they did a count out in Baron Corbin versus Gable Stevenson. If you're gonna do a in honor of Dusty, a Dusty finish where you don't really have a finish, this is the match you do it in. It really is.
Yeah.
We have Mark saying they need to turn Gable heel. That will bring more heat to him, but I loved it from both of them. I don't necessarily think you need to turn Gable heel. I think he's already heel. If you listen to that,
The crowd, yeah.
the crowd was not buying what WWE was selling with him being Olympic
No.
gold medalist, Kurt Angle, whole thing. No, that Booker even noticed. He's like, "Do you hear them?" And he's like, "Yeah, the NXT universe cheers who they want. They were cheering Baron Corbin." This, like I said, this is where we then get the JC Jane, Lyra Valkyria, Rhea Ripley stuff. As Dominic makes his way towards the entrance, where we get the match that, as HBC Bad Guys said, and I agree, the triple threat stole the show here. This triple threat match was fantastic. Dominic Mysterio versus Mustafa Ali versus Wesley. I love that Dominic gets out and Wesley goes over one side to get him, and Rhea gets in front of him, and Mama Fries is like, "Oh, he needs to stand in front of the woman to stand in front of him." And I'm like, "Yeah, he's the chicken shit heel that does that." And then Wesley goes on the other side, and he's standing there, and she's like, "Go in the ring, go in the ring." And I love how it's a cat and mouse with Dominic at this point with that. I loved the cat and mouse back and forth. It did everything it needed to do. It made Dominic look like a chicken shit heel. Check. It made Wesley and Mustafa Ali feel like viable contenders for this championship. Check. It kept Wesley in this angry, pissed off mode. And it put him front and center with Dominic Mysterio. Yes, he had the little Rascals hello, which was seen by the world, including his former tag team partner. And then you have Mustafa Ali getting screwed, which is perfect. It's just what you need in this because Mustafa already lost the fact this was not supposed to be a triple threat. It was supposed to be a one-on-one. So he has point one that he already lost that singles match. And now Rhea Ripley interferes, costing him his championship. It's just setting up perfectly for what I'm assuming is going to be Dominic versus Mustafa Ali at some point soon, which I don't think has a clean finish. And we go ahead and talk a little bit more about that going forward. I will be right back. I need to take care of something.
Yep. But for me, in that aspect, I did like having West take the riptide from Rhea, though, in that by the commentary table. I feel like that was really well done. I like how as I was watching the show, typing to Ed as I'm watching it, and here I'm thinking, I'm gonna type out. I think that West is gonna dive basically over Rhea's head, and before I even have time to finish his sentence, he already did that. But no, it was pretty interesting the way this was played out. Having the guys, or starting from Dom having the three amigos to the guys reversing it there. Um, Dom biting Mustafa, just putting him in the submission. And there was so many, and Rhea giving Dom direction during this match as well. I think it was pretty interesting too. Like he was always doing what she was telling him to do from the outside. When she told him to go in the ring, to do whatever she was telling him, he will follow through with it. So I think that was super interesting going forward as well. Going back to what we said during last week, I believe it was when he was starting to doubt her, which is what we think it's going to be something that moving forward will be the focus of him following what she says, and he's doubting whatever she's telling him to do because that's how he got into this triple threat to begin with. Um, Overall, I feel like it was great storytelling from everybody, and like I was saying, we know from moving forward we're gonna Mustafa, and then we're gonna get Dam as well, based on the finish, and Mustafa can basically getting screwed out of the finish as well. After this is what we had, probably Ed's favorite match of the night. So it was Tiffany versus Thea. It was a submission match. I love how before they started this match, they said this was the youngest women's championship match in PLE history. Oh, hello there.
Hi. I thought I'd tag out.
Tag out. Well, to mention about Tiffany and Thea, you got time to watch that one, didn't you?
I watched the whole show.
Okay. So before they started, they introduced it as the youngest women's championship match in PLE history. So I like that even though Thea doesn't win the match, they still present it this way. They still give the match some history to it. But I like having the fact of like we have Tiffany trying to take down Thea from the get-go and focus on her lower back. And we see that throughout the match. She goes for the super submission and the stretch submission on her shoulders as well. And really going for all that. But I love having moments of like Thea has her focus on her as well. And she throws Tiffany towards the post and it hurts Tiffany's shoulder. So we get focus on Thea's back and then Tiffany's shoulder at the same time here. And I like that moment of like when Thea first locks the Kimura, like I felt like she was going to win this when it happened. But she didn't because Tiffany just throws her over her head. And then again, Thea going for the back exploder, Kimura lock again. It made me think like this was over. But towards the end of the match is when I started to notice that Andre was really holding out a lot to his towel and they kept going forward to him and Duke in the corner. That's when I knew something was happening there. And I was like, I don't want it to happen, but I know it's going to happen sometime soon. And just when she is there in the submission, Boston Crab, Andre throws in the towel and then Tiffany still wins. I feel like it's also great because it's just that moment that Thea didn't submit either, so I feel like it makes her look good as well. Plus, we had Tiffany retain. Did you have any thoughts about this, Parrish?
Yeah, I thought Thea did a really great job of being sympathetic in this match. She really put out a great effort despite losing, and the fact that she didn't actually tap out and she didn't quit, it was something that her mentor, her teacher, was the one. He was the one who was protecting. It felt very much like a father protecting a daughter in this match. And I love that emotional investment that you had. I was very much watching Duke Hudson this entire time to see if he was to do anything. Because to me, he's always that wild card standing there. You never know. Like you always had your reservations when he joined. And then as everything went on, I don't know. For me, I'm just like, do I still trust him? And then he's always proven that you can, but you still watch him. I thought Tiffany Stratton looked very comfortable in this. As Very Monkey is saying, it was easily Thea's best match. Yeah, I 100% agree. I thought this was a match that put her on a pedestal of being heavily considered to being in that mix. We can now build a women's division with Thea Hale as an integral part in this division. I thought this was her coming out party.
Yeah, I feel like she definitely grew on me during this match. Just like the matches from her perspective was better than I thought it was going to be because her matches, we don't see her very often wrestle when she does it really short matches. So this was definitely a great performance on her part. And as Mark keeps saying here, that was amazing acting performance by Thea on selling everything. She did a great job. Tiffany did well going after a body part, using it at the end. That's something that I have enjoyed about Tiffany as well, and her characters. Like whatever she does have, especially for title matches, whenever she has a match, she focuses on a certain body part of her opponent, and she did that again. Like great heel work on her end while doing this. And Mark again here. It feels as though Duke and Chase are going to keep going after by the official expressions. It just I knew by like the camera angle that we're giving us, that something was going to happen in that corner there, and that I keep seeing Andre holding onto the towel like he was going to pull it. He was thinking about it, and that he had it in his hand, so I could see the progression in his mindset there. So that's what made me think something is happening here between them. But like I said, what I liked about it, we didn't get the tapping out. She was screaming with the pain, but she still worked through it, and she didn't lose technically like that. So I think I would like to see her interaction with Andre this week and see what it will be like between both of them. Right after this, we had a schism backstage. They're discussing about the two followers, and they're gonna do an interrogation this next week, just to remove the mask of those people and try to figure out who they were, which is probably gonna be Julius and Brutus, as they're still hanging around the bag. So I thought that was super interesting that they brought it up this time around. It didn't take long for that to happen. And then this is when we get JC versus Lyra got announced for Tuesday, and Dijak versus Eddie got announced for Tuesday as well. And then now on to the main event, which I'm gonna get hopefully Ed to talk about, because Ed likes his main event. You're muted, Ed.
Crap. Sorry about that. No, I want to go back real quick just to the Tiffany match. I want to say some things, and people are gonna not like it, and people are gonna use these words against me. Tia did really well, like Perez said, in this match. It was her coming out party. This match, she was in the right spots. I asked you this question. Is it bad when we're watching Tia Hale versus Tiffany Stratton? They have less in-ring time than Taya Valkyrie has her entire career. And this match was light years better than Britt Baker versus Taya Valkyrie. Two women who should be able to put on clinics with their eyes closed. I know Britt's still new and she's getting there, but the fact that she and Taya had so little chemistry and there were so many iffy spots in that match, it's just kudos to these two women. Not only did they do it, they did it with a long match. This match took some time. They gave it time. It wasn't a 5-minute match. It wasn't just slap on a submission, wait, oh no, she doesn't give up, move on to something else. They did a couple moves, put themselves in the right position, then put on a submission. And yes, there were a lot of submissions used. They did it a lot, but clip it, fine, whatever. But more importantly, they took their time to set up the submissions to make them feel important. Because so many times in a submission match, you can make it feel unimportant by just going from submission to submission. Becky Lynch and Natalya. They had a perfectly fine submission match a few years ago in WWE between the two of them. But it didn't feel like it was really at any moment that one of them could tap. In this match, there was a few times where it really felt like one of them could tap. Mm-hmm. I wish Tiffany would sit down better on that Boston Crab. I really feel like she needs a little bit more time working with it, because in that early portions of that, she really wasn't ready for the crawl segments where she was really high on those. But as soon as she knew that it was time to just sit there for a minute, she really sat back on it. And again, this is the inexperience of both of them, how they're learning, and this is a developmental brand, and these are things that you're going to see. But I'm hoping in time, the next time we see a segment like that in a Tiffany Stratton match, that she's learned from this moment, and that she really sits back on that thing from the moment and lets whoever's working underneath kind of get it there and really make it work. Because it was very obvious that Tiffany was allowing it to happen. But that's, again, that's inexperience. That's why they're in NXT. These are things that can be done. But this match, if it hadn't been for how great some of these other matches on this card were, This could have been a show stealer on any show in any company at all, because these girls got time and delivered. And both women's matches delivered. And in a week where we have an article going out that we deserve better in the AEW's women's division by somebody that you may or may not have heard of, just going out there and having 2 women's matches on a premium live event. You've got 7 matches on the whole card if you count the pre-show. 3 of them featured women. Yep. If you want to count the pre-show match, 3 of 7 matches on this show featured women in the match. Not around the ring, not ringside, in the physical match. 3 matches had women in it. This is why NXT does such a great job at building their women's division. Even if it's not as stacked and talented as an AEW's women's division. You want to know what makes ours different than theirs? And I say ours because we do the NXT thing every night, every week. What makes ours different is that we put time and effort into it. All of these women feel like competitors that we want to see on a daily basis. Hell, we even had a segment on a premium live event about 2 women that were putting on a show on Tuesday. When you talk about Lyra and JCJ. So, in reality, there are 4 different segments for women, building matches or in matches. And for the most part, both of those women's matches got equal time. I don't know the exact times, but neither one felt like they were short. Neither one felt like they had time taken away.
I feel like they felt like between 10 and 15 minutes, like each of them at least.
I think Tiffany and Thea may have gone a full 15. Like they went during that match. And I don't want to say that they went 15 because I feel like it went long. I feel like it was a full 15. Like they had a lot of stuff that they put into that match. And it just felt important. All these women's matches felt important. Blair and Roxanne aren't even contemplating a championship in their match. In the Metaphor match, those women are side pieces to a men's feud. And I get that. But you know what? They're important pieces, important side pieces in that men's feud. As much as I despise her, Lash legend in Miss Jackson, as Booker T said to call her because she earned it tonight. Those 2 women are important to what Metaphor does. Without them, the other 2 men in Metaphor are nowhere near as entertaining or talented as they are with them included. Notice, I left Yulisa and Valentina out of that. While they were stars tonight on their side, they haven't felt as important with their team. They are thrown in pieces to balance the sides. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. Because what does that mean? It means that Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson are so vital to what Noam Dar is doing that you need to bring in other talent to balance the sides. That's a good thing when you're talking about building a women's division. This is a division that feels deeper than it is. There are stories and things going on that have nothing to do with the championship at the moment. And those are important things that other companies, and this isn't a blow at AEW, because you know what? Impact could do a better job of it too. They do from time to time have a good women's division. That Knockouts division is stacked with talent. But it seems like every 3 months they're destroying a women's tag team in Impact, and they're not having a bunch of women's feuds that aren't revolving around a championship, whether it be the Impact women's tag team titles or whether it be about the Knockouts title itself. So I feel like there are other companies that could learn from what NXT does about making sure that you build things. Like I said, premium live event. They could have easily cut Roxanne and Blair and made that a main event of this week's NXT, and nobody would have batted an eye. Other than Roxanne being from Austin, Texas, and not getting on the card. That would have been the only reason why anybody would have bitched that match wasn't on this card. But they could have easily just pushed it off to the side, cut this thing down to 2 hours and gone, yep, we're done. But they didn't. They invested the time in their talent, and look what they delivered. 2 of these women's matches are probably 2 of the 4 best matches on this card. And this is a big card to be 2 of the 4 best matches on.
Yeah.
Like, on any other show, they could have been top 3 or top 2 matches on the card. So, I know it's a bit of a rant, but I just feel like in the nature where we are, where we constantly talk about the good and the bad, and I'm as critical as anybody when NXT drops the ball in their women's division. You've heard it on this show where I go, NXT, you need to do better. And I've called them out for their shows where it's 1 women's segment, no women's matches, or women's matches getting 3 minutes on an NXT show where you get 2 women's matches for all of 5 minutes. Like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
2 women's matches that had all of less than 10 minutes total between 2 women's matches. You can't be doing that. You have to do better than that. Tonight, NXT showed they can do better than that when the stage is bright, and that's important. Darn Amazing jumping in saying, do y'all think Tia Tiff will have a 3rd match because Tiffany tapped in the first one and Tia never really tapped in the second one? I'd like to say no. I'd really like to say no because I really don't want to have to talk about Tia anymore. However, I think that finish means we have to have a 3rd match. I have a feeling it's going to be last woman standing. And I have a feeling it's taking place as a main event of an NXT show. I don't think it's making it to No Mercy.
No, I don't think so either.
We move to the main event. Fantastic main event. They gave this again. They gave this plenty of time. Maybe a bit too much time. These guys had a pace. They knew what they wanted to do and they were going to wrestle at it. Regardless what the crowd wanted, regardless what Astrid wanted, they knew the pace that they were going to work at and they worked at it. This match was solely done to show us how tough Carmelo Hayes was. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That was the number 1 objective of this match, is to show us something new with Carmelo Hayes. That Carmelo Hayes, while being flashy and being him, can stand in there and take abuse over and over and over again and overcome. And I think that objective was nailed perfectly.
Yeah.
Trick Williams with that title belt on the outside, constantly using it towards the end of the match to help push Melo further.
Did that make you nervous though?
Terrified. Not nervous. Terrified that there was going to be an oopsie where he's showing Melo the belt and all of a sudden Dragunov just drop kicks Melo right face first into it. Oh, I was terrified.
I had to ask. I'm sorry.
It's fine. I love Melo, but my drawer Dragunov. No. Dragunov is fantastic, and Dragunov is going to be a world champion sometime soon. But Melo just, like, y'all forget, Melo just won this goddamn thing 3 months ago in April.
If he's your boy, you should spell his name right at least. Come on, Mark.
He did. Oh,
No.
Oh, I was like, Melo spelled right. I was a little nervous about Trick Hall. Yeah, I was a little. I wasn't a little nervous. I was goddamn terrified.
I feel like I was watching like this.
It's all Mark's fault too, because Mark's the one who put it. Had Mark never said that he thought Trick was going to turn, I wouldn't have even batted an eye. Like this whole week, I wouldn't be thinking Trick's going to turn. I'd be thinking all the Trick stuff is just another layer of the story just to keep the thing going. I never would have thought about Trick turning. But my God, just the mini idea that Mark put out there on the night of on the Tuesday after the draft that Melo might get turned on by Trick, and I'm just like, oh God, he's just holding that title right there at the side of the ring, and it does play a part in the finish. Dragunov tries to do Torpedo Moscow. Melo moves, gets shoved out of the way. I haven't replayed it enough to find out exactly what happens. Either way, head first into that NXT championship on top of Trick Williams. Melo rolls him in, nothing but net. 1, 2, 3. But these guys killed it, especially Melo being able to stand in there with Dragunov. And it's just utter gold. Astrid, I know you have a slightly different opinion, so go ahead and give it to us.
I want to put this more. It's like, okay, I'll forgive you this time around. But yeah, before that,
Dragunov's a hard name to spell, just so we're clear. Like, I have to look it up every time I have to
I
spell
copy
it.
and paste it at this point.
Which is honestly why every time he's in my notes or in my thumbnails or anything like that, it's only ever Ilja. Ilja. Because that's a whole lot easier than Dragunov.
And the funny thing is, like, I kept thinking about this every single time. Like, they put Trick's facial expressions on the screen. I was like, oh no, it's happening now, isn't it? But no, it's one of those things I didn't think it was going to happen when he grabbed the title, but I was wondering what he was going to do. At first, I thought he was going to just throw it in there for Carmelo to use, but I thought, no, that doesn't seem like a Trick thing at this point. So when he used it as motivation, I really love being able to, like, have the camera so close that you can hear it. And then him motivating Carmelo with that championship, I felt like it was perfectly done. It's like, you don't want to lose this. Like, this is your prized possession. Look at it. This one, I don't want to say that the match wasn't bad, but it just took me a while to get into it at first. It's just the pacing of, like, it being too slow. I think it didn't help me at first, but I know, like, towards, like, the second half of it, like, it really picked up, especially when Melo was more in charge. Every time he gave an knee strike to Dragunov, I was like, holy crap, that looked nasty. I just didn't want to look at it any longer, but they had a good back and forth and just like, but my favorite part was every time something happened, they will put Trick and they will show his special expressions there. And the concern on his face, like, just like, or he could feel the pain that Carmelo was going through as well. It's one of those things. And like you said, I kept looking back of, like, the footage. I'm like, did he move, or was it Trick that kind of moved him out of the way, or was it that Carmelo moved and didn't realize that was going to happen? But still, I think that in the finish itself, it's interesting. That will be something moving forward for this week. But overall, I enjoyed the match. I was still nervous. I was thinking Dragon I was going to win it in a few points, but very glad that Carmelo retains, and another point for me again.
Yeah, I didn't do well on the points. I took a lot of chances this pay-per-view cycle on the PLEs, and it didn't go well. Hopefully SummerSlam, when I talk with my boy Andre for SummerSlam next week, hopefully that'll go a little bit better for me, because this one sure as hell didn't. Corey brings up a good question. Who do you guys think Hayes will face at No Mercy? I'll be honest. I think we're getting this back. I think we're running it back. And I think that's where he loses it, to be honest. I think that's where it ends. Yeah. I think Melo ends at No Mercy, and we build a feud or two between, if they decide to break up Trick and Melo, we have a feud there after No Mercy. And then come Rumble, I think Melo goes ahead. And Trick versus Melo. I mean, he's the evil man's going to keep saying the bad thing until it happens. So, and Mark, see, comments like this and comments like, hold on, where's the other one? Where is it?
Is it this one?
No, well, there's that one. Where's the one? And this one. These are why, to pull something from our Discord chat into the public eye, well, I had to go find another Englishman to go ahead and preview this show.
He was mad at me for it, too.
Oh, he's like, you went and found another Englishman, and I'm like, eh.
He's like, I'm mad at you, and I'm like, in my mind, what did I do? And I was like, trying to counter up anything.
I love how we're putting Mark Blast on air.
Oh, I don't care. And then he goes, you put another Englishman on your roster. And I was like, wait. That was not my guess. That was more Ed's guess than mine, just so you know.
It was absolutely my guess. And
so,
like I said, I had to do it because I had to get an Englishman who would at least see sense. You know?
Oops.
And even Steve didn't agree with enough stuff that I like, so we got rid of that Englishman and we're going to bring on a new one. Even though, as stated by Steve, he's now signed a 4-year contract that the three of us have to preview Great American Bash for the next 4 years because we've done it for the last 2.
See, he admitted it was him, Mark. Just so you know, don't blame me for this.
Oh, trust me, he's already figured it out. He's coming for me. But that's going to bring an end to this episode. Go ahead and give this a rating. We haven't done an NXT star rating in a while. Go ahead and give your NXT star rating for the Great American Bash.
Out of 5 or 10?
5, 10. Take a pick. Just let me know which one it is.
I was like a 4.5. I feel like it's just for the main event.
I was going to say, I'm going to give it a 4.5. I think every match delivered even more than I thought it might. Like I said, it wasn't a perfect show. Like, I don't like to ever give anything a perfect 5. Five shows are hard to do. So 4.5s, 9s, yeah, I can see Mark 9.
6.75.
Wow.
Did we watch the same shows? They're amazing.
This is out of 10 stars. I mean, I don't know. 6.75 is a little harsh on this show. It was a pretty damn good show, I'll be honest. I mean, we had we have 2 ex-con champions in NXT now. I love seeing the thing. NXT, a place for ex-cons to go to rehabilitate themselves. Corey jumping in 8.5.
That's more like it.
I can see 8 point. Like I said, a 10 out of 10 show is almost non-existent. Like those shows are few and far between because every show has its duds and every show has its down match. And you know, having a perfect show is a whole. All right, there we go, Dara. At least get it to a 7.5.
That's more like it.
I can tolerate that. I mean, you almost got a week off the show for that one. But while we got a bunch of people here, Astrid, why don't you go ahead and tell the people where they can find you in print and on the air this week?
On the air, you can find me again Tuesday doing Taking Over with Ed, and I guess I hope I don't get in trouble with Bobby, but I'll be hopefully with Bobby and Papa Smokes for the first time on the Thursday show from Respect Radio. I think that's all I have for this week at least. And then you can find me on social media, so it's down there, and then I have Blue Sky and Threads as well. And you can find me my latest piece on Body Slam that just came out today, talking about, as Ed mentioned earlier, about the AEW Women's Division and what we want out of it. The things from a friend perspective that I feel like they could improve on. And I had to put a disclaimer: I am a fan of AEW. I just want better for the women. So, yeah, so far it's doing better than I thought it was going to be. So I want to thank Body Slam for not only letting me speak my voice on this sort of matter, but as I like to call them now, my 2 Corys and Cassidy for actually encouraging me and supporting me to write this piece.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of AEW, and I thought it was a fantastic piece. AEW has some of the most talented women wrestlers in the world. And if they're not going to use them properly, please give them to WWE because we would love to have a Billy Starks. We would love to have a Dr. Britt Baker. We'd love to have a Sky Blue. Hell, I think if we had her dumbass at the Performance Center, I think we could even take what's her name, the former TBS champion lady. I can't even. There we go, Jade Cargill. I think we could make her a competent wrestler if we had her in the Performance Center. Because God, her ass can't wrestle one lick and theirs. And she was champion for what, 40 weeks or something? Craziness. You can find me on Twitter where I say stupid shit like this. You can also find me on Taking Over every Tuesday. This week, you can also find me with, I believe this Wednesday, and Perez can correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, the return of Wrestle Draft. This Wednesday night where we start Season 2 of Wrestle Draft should hopefully be back either this week or next week. Perez can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. Let's see. Has he corrected me? He has not, so I'm going to assume that we are correct. We can also find me and all my gaming content on Ed Fries 2002. I am apparently...
I was going to say it can be AFK, but...
I'm apparently wrong. You can find me Twitter on Ed Fries 2002 when you go ahead and try to find some of my gaming content. I play Marvel Snap. I play WWE 2K23. All kinds of good stuff. Also, catch me and all our local establishment crew as we go ahead and get ready for SummerSlam. This weekend, this Saturday night is SummerSlam. So it's coming fast and furious. This Saturday afternoon, you will have a pre-recorded version with me and my Marvel Talk tag team partner, Andre C., as we go ahead and preview and predict SummerSlam matches. That will be airing on Saturday afternoon, probably around noontime. So go ahead and get that checked in so you can get that right before you get your SummerSlam fix. And then stop by after SummerSlam where you're going to find a host of us. We have no idea who yet, but a host of us will be talking about SummerSlam next Saturday night. I'll probably be there, I think. Maybe, sort of, kind of. Maybe the Raw Watch-Along crew will be there. Who knows? Also, make sure you go ahead and give our local establishment a follow. I've chosen a show that I want to have a little bit more exposure. Go ahead and give some exposure to Paramindful. Every other Monday, these guys go out there, Melball Collins, the Golden Voice, Carl Carafel, and Alex the Wolfman go out there and talk about all kinds of wonderful paranormal things. All the spooky ooky shit. It's fantastic. It's not my cup of tea, but I've watched a couple episodes. They do a fantastic job. Please go ahead and give them some support on that show, because that show, I think, is one of the more underrated shows on the Our Local Establishment thing. Let's see. Do we have a raid? I think we are going to raid somebody. I don't know who. We can do Quest for Jewels. How does that sound?
Yeah. I thought we had it locked in.
I did, and then I think I tried to change their mind because I think somebody else came on and I was going to do it to them. Yeah, we're not giving it to Fightful Gaming. No, definitely not.
No comment.
The views of Ed about Fightful Gaming are Ed's and Ed's alone. He does not speak for Our Local Establishment in any way, shape, or form. Yada, 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 yada. We're going to go ahead and see Quest for Jewels. He's playing some Fortnite. He is, as Perez is, a professional wrestler, so go ahead and give him some love. We'll be rating there in about 3 seconds, so just go ahead and give that. But for myself, for Asher Bizarro, thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Everyone is watching me when I'm coming.